carbonara from scratch, although I'm not going to do a recipe, but I was asked a question about the difference between clotting and coagulation. A lot of people confuse the differences. So imagine that these eggs, by the way, 5 eggs, 500 grams of pasta, mix it up, make a dough, rest it for half an hour, cut your pasta. It's easier than buying it at the shop. But imagine that I had these eggs, and these were platelets, thrombocytes floating through your blood, and there was a breach or an injury to the inside of the wall of your blood vessel. Then these platelets will rush to that injury and they'll start sticking to one another. They glue themselves together with a little protein. So if you can imagine those platelets like eggs have all been they're stuck together, right? Now, aspirin washes off that protein. That's why aspirin stops platelets from clotting. But the other thing that these platelets are doing is they're calling other platelets to come and join the clot. So as these other platelets come along and join the clot, of course they're going to stick and the clot snowballs and it gets bigger and bigger. And if we want to stop that process, we use a drug called clopidogrel or clopidogrel or ticagrelor, sometimes called ticagrelor, although it's never called ticagrelor, but when you look at ticagrelor, it looks like ticagrelor. So that stops platelets calling their friends. But once platelets have clumped together, that's called a clot. Another thing that platelets are going to do is they're going to stimulate a process called coagulation, and that comes out of the protein that's in the plasma. And ultimately what happens is liquid proteins start to form little strands of string, and those little strands of string start to wrap themselves around the platelets, a little bit like a fishnet, and that holds the platelets together. These strands of protein are called fibrin. Wrapped around a clot, it stabilizes the clot, and now that clot's not called a clot anymore. That clot is now called a thrombus.